found AHO Radio. We're authentic human outliers coming together to help heal the fear of being authentic, to bring back genuine human conversation. No hype, no sensationalism, just honest talk about the critical issues affecting society, affecting humankind. And now, here are the hosts of AHO Radio, Millennial Adam T. Cummings with Boomers John Krotek and Bill Paratzman. Hey everybody, especially authentic human outliers. It is Tuesday, the 14th of April, mid-coronavirus pandemic. Just want to properly position for future listeners. Hey, John Krotek, how are you?
I'm doing good, Bill. Good morning. Hey, Justin, glad you're here all the way from Chicago. How's it going, brother?
Amazing. Hope you guys are doing well.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you say, actually, we're getting ready to enter the fifth week of this, basically kind of a pseudo lockdown. And it's been interesting that we've been able to connect like this. And I'm just, like you say, Bill, blessed to be alive. And there's a lot we can get done, even with the way things are. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Justin, you're an expert on this stuff. We're going to talk about what you do. But right now I want to talk about like who you are and what Authentic Human Outliers is all about is like taking off the masks that we show each other and just sort of getting under the hood and saying what makes us tick as human beings, as guys talking on the radio right now, what makes us tick. And you're amazing, man. I had the opportunity to meet you. I don't know. I think it was Rebecca Greider that introduced us, right? Who's another amazing individual. We've got to have her on the show. But oh my gosh. So being able to connect with people is what you're all about. And I'm so pleased to be able to be with you today and to be in this space and connect. So let's talk about who you are, and then a little later on we'll get into what you do and how that looks in the world. I just want to open this up and say, man, Justin, first of all, welcome again. It's great to be here with you. And secondly, like, what is it that's lighting you up these days?
Yeah, it's a good question to start this off. I mean, I take genuine joy in connecting people at a very high level. I don't know. I just have a very weird brain, but in this case, weird is good. So like I have a PR firm or whatever, but really what my company is this giant incubator of geniuses around the world. And we introduce each other for mutual gain. And so I can be talking to somebody in Australia who says something totally random. And I'm like, oh, that's something that someone said in Toronto and they'd be good fits to connect. And then I'll just connect them. And a week later, they'll be like, we just talked to each other. And I don't know how you knew that, but we just, love talking to each other and there's potential business out of it. So, and I don't write anything down. It's just in my head and it just pings off my head. And then I just make those connections. So it's very exciting for me because like it just keeps growing and growing and growing, this amazing network of awesome people around the world.
How'd you discover the superpower you have?
So I was a journalist for 20 years and I was always good at connecting with people, just, for sourcing and things like that. But what I found since starting my business in the last 3 years, that I spend most of my time talking to people at a very high level and then just listening to them. And what I realized pretty quickly is that I just talk to so many great people that I can just remember certain things about what they say. And then I'm just able to connect people. What has been interesting is that not only my clients, but other people say this to me all the time. They'd rather not even talk about PR. Even my clients, they'd rather talk about, oh my God, you connected me to this angel investor or this guy who mentors startups or something. So they're like getting all this mainstream media coverage, but also they're getting this value for all these connections on a very high level, global level.
There's that's really cool, Justin. There's this movie, a Charlton Heston movie from the 70s called Soylent Green. I don't know if you remember that, but Soylent Green, I'm not going to give away the plot, but Soylent Green is people.
Right.
And what you've just outlined, people being the lifeblood of our humanity. Right. And I think that was the deepest message in that movie. And so what you've been able to do is you've been able to become that human value connector. Right. And you're making it about the people. And even in today's day and age, Bill and I talk about this all the time, with all these techno tools that we have, something's been lost, but you're on a mission to help find it again. And that's really cool. So I would say Justin Breen is people, kind of like the movie.
Right.
So That's
Yeah.
cool.
And that's what my company, like, that's what my company really is. So like a lot of these amazing entrepreneurial groups I'm in, they talk about 10xing your revenue, and that's fine. But for me, that's not like that. For me, it's 10xing the network and the people. And although I don't have like full-time employees per se, I look at this giant blob of people as like, they're just, the network is really the company. And then the company just keeps growing because these incredible people just keep adding to the network and growing and growing. So it's like, these are thoughts that like I never thought like this 3 years ago before I started the business. But as my mindset has changed, that's what I'm really excited about, because it's really only the beginning of this. Like my network's insane. It's amazing. But I mean, there's no limit to what it can become. So it's like endlessly thrilling to know that it's just boom, 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 boom. And all these connections can lead to so much greatness for other people. And then the byproduct is my company keeps being incredibly successful as well.
I love that you look at the success in two ways. First of all, the success of the network. That's like the lifeblood.
Right.
And then all these things sort of happen that are commerce related, but they
Correct.
are secondary to the network.
They are secondary. They're actually probably third. They're third because the network's great. Then the intros and friendships that are created because of this, and potential referrals, and then just like someone you can talk to during times like this, and people that think alike. And then there's the business intros and those type of relationships that are created. So most of the conversations I have with these entrepreneurs and connectors, we very rarely talk about my business.
Mm-hmm.
I'll spend 2 minutes or whatever telling people what I do, but then we just talk about life and finding fulfillment and joy and stuff. And again, they'll just say something and I'm like, oh, like somebody, I was on a call the other day and someone was saying, they won three Olympic gold medals with USA softball, which is fine. It's great. But they also homeschooled their 4 kids. So I'm like, oh, I have a client and she runs a 7-figure business and she homeschools her 4 kids. So I just introduced them. So one's in California, one's in Utah. And like, they're going to like talking to each other because they homeschool their kids and they have very high level success, in business / speaking and that kind of thing. So I'm like, oh, they'd be a perfect match for each other.
That's pretty cool. Not to cut you off, Bill, but I want to back up just a second. Something you said just a few minutes ago, Justin. You talked about changing your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of people, that's a tough thing to do. Can you give us like maybe let the listeners know like 3 things that they can do like today, this very moment, to change their mindset? Because you changed your mindset and look at what's starting to happen, man. Justin Breen's business is starting to proliferate, not because of the system, but because of who you are. So what are 3 things they can do to just click that mindset?
Yeah. So 1, it's not going to happen in one day. That's what I mean. Like, I'm very direct about that. So when you start a business or this mindset, it takes 2 full years of really like working hard on this. So like, but every day I tell myself, I've been telling myself global growth this whole entire year. And again,
I love that, by the way. I love that, man.
2 of my last clients have been in Toronto and in Guatemala. So in the last couple of weeks. So, and I just kept telling myself the same thing every day. But you can weed a lot of people out very quickly in your network if they ask, what do you cost? What can you do for me? Hey, I need a favor. Can you do pro bono work? So
I've heard that before.
Yeah. So those people go away in my network, and I'm not rude per se, but I'm very like direct, saying, no, this is not okay. And I get pretty annoyed with it. So, but what happens is when you find the right people that think in terms of what does an investment with you look like? How can I help you? Who can I intro you to that would be beneficial? Those are the people that you're looking for. So the problem with the first people is not only are they toxic, but they'll introduce you to other toxic people. And then the joy of the other group of people, which are the only people I surround myself with, is they just keep introducing you to more and more great people.
Man, I'm so glad you said that, because Bill and I have talked about this ad nauseum. I call it the bling bling syndrome, that you meet somebody for the first time and they're seemingly on board, and then they realize what you just said, that it takes work. Oh, yeah. WORK. And then the minute it takes work, if they don't force themselves out of the equation, they're gone anyways, because you don't need to be around that. So that's awesome, Justin. Thanks for pointing that out, man. You know, weed through, and it's not going to happen overnight. Thank you for letting us know that.
So I help a lot of people start their own businesses, because a lot of people helped me when I started mine. And a lot of them are in panic mode saying, we don't know what to do, yada, yada, yada. And I go, don't worry. It takes time. This is not going to be figured out in 3 months or 6 months or a year. It's really going to take 2 full years to figure it out. So my company's it's always done well financially since I started, knock on wood. And that's only going to continue to grow. But I didn't really figure things out in terms of the right mindset, the right people to interact with, the right processes for how I get people in mainstream media, all that kind of stuff. It took 2 full years to really figure that out. So it just takes time. So it's just not going to happen overnight. It's almost impossible. So just be prepared for 2 really good years of learning, not only about your business, but about yourself. And that's the coolest thing too about this entrepreneurial journey, is I've really learned a lot about myself and what makes me tick and what I really don't like to do, what I really do like to do, and how I've learned from failures and how I can learn not to make those same mistakes, but also realize that mistakes lead to positive things. So it's all this self-analysis. It's really, really cool to be a part of.
So can you take us back to like the moment where you decided to start your own business and what your mindset was like then?
So February 10th, 2017, I was working as a full-time journalist. This is a long story. I'll say it fast, but I had my job salary cut in half. So for the next couple months, I tried to find a full-time job, could not find a full-time job. So I was doing freelancing stuff on the side. Decided to incorporate on April 16th, 2017. So my company's anniversary is coming up a couple days here. But
yeah, congratulations.
Thanks. So I was working full-time, also freelancing. I told myself when I got my 5th client, I would resign from my full-time job. So over the next couple of weeks, I reached out to 5,000 people to get my 5th client, to get 5 clients, got the 5th client, resigned from my full-time job the next day. And then 2 days later, Robert Feeder, who's one of the top media columnists in the Midwest, he wrote a story that I had started my own business. So knock on wood, it's been upward and onward ever since. It's been really exciting. But mindset in terms of, those first couple of months, and even after people knew I had my own business, I mean, it was totally different than it is now. I mean, it was panic and nervous, and it was like, is this going to work? And without my wife, who's the most important, person in my life besides my kids. And she's just been an amazing foundation. She's got a great job. And she's always been the most supportive person ever. So, but yeah, without that, I mean, it would have been a totally different story.
Well, it is important you point that out, to have that support. What you've just described to me is a few things. I feel it, brother. One of them is, it takes time. Something like the stones of agony can lead to success, but you have to give it the time. And you were geared up for that mentally. Again, back to mindset, you were geared up to prepare yourself because you knew exactly what your vision was. I see that you're a visionary strategist. Mm-hmm. You come up with strategies to help people with their visions. And, but if you don't live and breathe it yourself, then it means nothing. So that's high value, man. That's real high value, what you're offering to the world.
Yep. I appreciate that. And, so the only clients I have are visionaries. So again, somebody asks, what do you cost? I'll never work with them because the only people that understand how my brain works are visionary type people who look at things as investments. So I've weeded out all the nonsense. I've almost done it. Every now and then. For the most part, all the nonsense.
I need to talk to you off the grid, man, because I need that plan. But there's still a lot of nonsense going on. And
just raise your rate. You just raise your rates. So here's the difference. So people talk a lot, and then I'll tell them my rates, and then they stop talking. So the real visionaries are the ones that jump on board because they understand it. So they don't say, oh, what do you get for this? They just understand that this will lead to mainstream media publicity and it'll help their companies. And then the intros I provide will help their businesses regardless from, mainstream media. So that's what I mean. Like for 99% of my conversations, I don't have to deal with that nonsense anymore. Every now and then it creeps in, but it's all about mindset, man. And I value what my firm does at a very high level, not just for the PR stuff, but for these connections that I make. I know that they change people's lives, and people tell me that every single day. And I just have no tolerance for people that don't have this abundance mindset. I just don't relate to it, and they're not going to be in my network. It's just not going to happen.
What you just described, and I know Bill loves this, the law of attraction. Right. And you like personify it, man. This visionary entrepreneur who lives and breathes real humanity, and you're attracting it. And I love that because you've re-energized me in the 10 minutes, 15 minutes we've been talking.
Yep.
I'm focused again, and I appreciate that. So yeah, good stuff, man. So you can't go wrong when it's real.
Yep. So I'll go into a room of 20 people, either they're random people or they're entrepreneurs, small business owners, whatever. And I'll talk like this, and 18 of them will look at me like I'm crazy or an alien. And those people, they'll never be in my network. They'll never be clients. They just go away. And then the one or two people that just get it, those are the ones I care about and focus on because they're the ones that understand my brain.
This is so much the definition of an outlier.
And totally, man. He's
I'm
right.
an outlier. Yeah. Of course I am. But that's
I
wrote
a poem called Abductee, and it was about this 3-inch scar on my neck, and people ask me about it. But every time the mothership gets in the vicinity, I start to get these voices talking in my head. So when you just relayed that business meeting, what they're like for you, I kept thinking, wow, Justin's an abductee. He's just like what we're trying to accomplish too. And it's nice to see you doing that, man. It's real. You're very real. And Bill and I appreciate that for sure.
And it's real, and I think it's like very direct. I'm very intentional and purposeful about who I want to interact with, because 95 to 97% of society does not think like me, and that's fine. And they're not going to be willing to change their mindset or whatever. But again, when you find these 3 to 5% of people around the world that do think like this, it is endless joy and opportunity, and so exciting because there's no nickel and dime nonsense. These people are like literally changing the world. They're pivoting and helping build their businesses while also helping people. They make these incredible introductions. And again, that's basically what I do all day. So it's like a drug for me. It's like endless excitement.
Let me ask you this, man. In light of social media, because I've had lots of people tell me all these downsides of social media, and they're not working. How do you view social media and its implementation in like your system?
Okay, so those people are, in my opinion, are dead wrong. Social media is a gigantic goldmine for me. It's led to tens of thousands of dollars in contracts. I have almost 20,000 followers on LinkedIn now, and most of them are visionary CEO type people. And I use LinkedIn as a commercial for other people, meaning like, oh, I just had this great conversation with so-and-so. Here's more about their business, and I'll tag them and put a link to their thing. Or here's something about so-and-so who has this great program, tag them. Or here's one of my clients that was in the Chicago Tribune, and then I'll post the link and then tag them. So there's a lot of negativity on social media, but I'm incredibly positive. And again, the people that are attracted to that are also positive. And these posts that I do, not only do they help lead to intros for the people I tag, but then people are like, oh, this he has a client in pathology. I'm working with a pathology company, and they could use press too. So it's like, oh, then they reach out to me. So the folks that are saying that, they don't really get it. They don't understand the value of social media and how positive it can be, and what amazing business and life opportunities it can lead to.
What would you say, Justin, to someone who wants to make the jump from wherever they are to the place where you're leading? How does somebody go about that? What's that process?
It's a big jump. So I will do a shameless plug here. So that's what my book is about. It comes out May 19th, but so I wrote this book in 43 days. I'm really excited about it. And it's basically what I learned in the first 30 months of my company. And it's basically, here's how I did this. So it's anecdotes on each of the lessons I learned from talking to all these amazing entrepreneurs throughout the world. And then this is why my company is a global success, because of the lessons in that book. So the first couple things, the most important is do what you love to do and what you're good at. So that's all that my company does. I don't do anything else. If someone asks me to do something else, I won't do it. I'll just refer them to somebody else. And then another thing is, again, when you start a business, it takes 2 full years. So that's a key thing. And number 3 is work with people that look at things as investments, not costs. Again, if someone asks, what do you cost? You might have to when you first start, but you might have to work with them when you first start. But after a while, weed those people out, because they're just going to drain your energy. They're going to be bad network referral type people, and they're just going to try to use you and not help.
That's an important characteristic. And I think you probably have the yes answer that I'm looking for here. But the mindset that it takes to shift from a taker to a giver, like help everybody before you help yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That happened to me, and if you ask me right now, I couldn't tell you why or when, but it happened and it was gradual. Are you seeing more of that in the world?
So the people that are in my network, they're pretty much all like that.
Yeah.
Overall in the world, I don't know. My world is so focused around a certain type of person that's all they do anyway. What I will say is, because I just keep adding to that, then I am seeing more of it overall. I don't know if the average person has changed that much. I just don't know, because I don't have that many interactions with that. So
yeah, with the average bear, makes sense.
Right.
I know. I hope for that.
I would think so. I mean, if anything's going to change people, this is it. Some people you can't help. I mean, people that don't put family first, and I write that in the book. It's like I really can't help people that don't put their family first, because like that's one of the best parts of having my company is I see my wife and our 2 young sons who are 7 and 5. I see them all the time, and if someone, it's very simple for me. Like if someone I think is going to cause problems that take away time from my wife and kids, I'm not going to work with them. So that's always like my number one, like when I'm talking to people, and I'll know right away, I'm like, is this person going to cause problems? I'm like, oh, they're gone. I'm not dealing with that. So,
it's good that you can be that way, because so many people will continue to give a benefit of a doubt. And then they find out, they wonder why so much time has gone by.
right.
What we say in the military is force multiplier, and it starts with core values. You have solid core values that you just said, Justin, your family. And if you adhere to solid core values, eventually, not even eventually, probably sometimes immediately, you'll start to attract those types of people. Not to say we're not going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. And
Right.
some people can cloak themselves very well. But the fact that you're using these tools in a force multiplier way across the globe, I like the fact that you said you think globally. You think big things are going to happen. So
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so true. Like if you think like this and you constantly reinforce that, it will happen. And so like I used to think when people said that they were out of their minds. I'm like, what is this? Is this person insane or whatever? But it's 100% true. I mean, one of my friends, his name's Joe Martin, and he names his years. Like every year he names the year something different. So before all this, the COVID stuff started, I'm like, oh, I'll just call this year global growth. So I've been saying global growth every day, all the time in my head. And I mean, most of my conversations now are with people outside the United States. So, and then again, 2 of my most recent clients are not in the US. So, and that's only the beginning of that. And my goal is to have clients everywhere, because for what I do, there's no limit to that either. So.
I love that. That's, it's a great way to continue to have those foundational core values and have them operate in the world. And again, using these tools is perfect. So definitely you're on the road to stardom and success, which I don't think that's really what you're pushing for, but you're pushing for reality and to be real with people and to help them. So
yeah, so my 10xing is 10xing my network and 10xing my experiences in life. So my kids, again, they're 7 and 5. I took them shark fishing in the Florida Keys over the winter, and then knock on wood, we're supposed to go to Maine in the summer, and we're going to take them shark fishing again. And my kids and I and my wife, we have the best time, and we just do all this fun stuff. So I look at wealth not as financial, although when you have more money, you can do more cool things. But it's like, I don't need to run a 9-10 figure business. Like for me, that's not gonna change anything for me. Like it doesn't matter. What matters to me is the network of great people. And again, the byproduct of that is that it'll just lead to endless business opportunities anyway. So
what are 2 more of your core values? So we know family is a huge one. What are 2 more?
I don't know if this is a core value, but I run outside 6 times a week, no matter the weather conditions. And I've done that for 15 years. And that's my, that's my alone time. That's my sanity time. And I think it's so important to have that value of like taking care of yourself physically. I don't understand why people don't do that. And just to get away and, just enjoy that fresh air. I think that's so important for sure.
Love that. So that's a core value, health and nutrition. So yeah.
I heard someone say that hiding is an important thing, and that may be what you're saying too, Justin. Like there's a time where we need to isolate ourselves from everything, from the world.
Mm-hmm.
And you're so outward focused, and you're like a consumer of connections, that it's interesting to me to hear you say that it's important for you to have solitude as well.
Yeah, so I'm an ambivert for sure, in between an introvert and an extrovert. You get me at a party where we're not talking about entrepreneurship or connections, I'll sit in a corner and say nothing because I don't care. Like, and that's something I'm working on. I just had a conversation with somebody before this who thinks exactly the same way that I do, which is that's pretty rare. And I'm like, oh man, do you just try and fake it and try and be nice? It's like, no, I can't do it. I'm like, oh man, it's not what I needed to hear right now, because it's really important to my wife that when I'm in those social settings that I try to interact, but it's really hard for me because I don't know. Normal conversations, I'm just not interested at all. So, but I am trying. I really am trying. I'm working on it. But yeah, so like I need a lot of alone time. Unless you get me talking about this kind of stuff, or my family or whatever, like I just don't have the passion for it. But I have endless passion for this, and it provides me with endless joy and excitement. Because this is stuff that really genuinely helps people. It's not like, oh, who did you pick up with a carpool, or the Cubs winner? Like it. I mean, it's fine. It's just I just don't care anymore. Like it's this stuff. These conversations are too important, and it's hard for me to just like come back down from those kind of things.
Well, go ahead. Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I was reading something recently. I don't know where the article was, but it said something about value. And when you're doing things out in society, whether it's our local community, state, the world, like what value are you bringing, or are you just adding to the noise?
The noise, yeah.
And I got to tell you, Justin, I feel kind of the same way. And I know Bill does too. There's a lot of noise out there. Are you adding something of great value when you open your mouth, or are you just adding to the noise and something with little value at all? So what do you hold? What's valuable to you? We already know a few things, but what's valuable to you?
What's real relationships? Someone asked me the other day when we could still meet in person. He's like, what is something that people should really know about you? And I thought about it for a minute, and which I don't usually do. I have a pretty high quick start, so I can answer pretty quickly. But in this time, I really thought about it, and I answered that I actually care. I actually really care. And I think that's so important in terms of, being valuable, is that you actually care about people and care about the right people. And if somebody messages you, that you follow up with that, and that if someone really does need your help, that you help them, and that you care about making the right introductions, and you care about your clients like way more than just as a business transaction. So that's something I really value, is people that actually care. And so again, I've surrounded myself with tens of thousands of people like that, and keep adding to it. And so it's this endless like organism of people that care about other people. So it's really awesome.
That is awesome.
There's going to be a naysayer out there who says, "Well, that's so exclusive. I can't play in that. Nobody cares about me," and blah blah blah. And I know what you're going to say, which is, "Thank you very much, goodbye."
Bye. See you later.
But don't we have this built-in responsibility that even if we never work with people that are with that attitude, don't we have this built-in responsibility to try to raise the entire the tide, to lift all the boats? And I know that you're going to say it's going to happen by example, but it's tough, man, right now, because there's so much of that pesky noise.
Yep. So this is where you and I are going to disagree strongly. I'm focused totally on the people that understand how my brain works. And there's people I'm never going to be able to reach talking like this. And that's just how it is. So my goal is to help the people that I know I can help and that can help me. And then the other folks, it is what it is. Again, that's why my business has been successful. That's why my network continues to grow, is because I don't focus on everybody. And so you are welcome to do whatever you want in terms of trying to help everyone. I am adamantly against that, because it's just not, I've learned from dealing with the wrong people that they are going to take advantage of you. They're not going to want to help back. They're going to introduce you to the wrong people. And I've just learned that I have no tolerance for that nonsense. And so I gotta focus on the right people.
I got to tell you too, I agree with that, because, we've had horror stories too on our end. And when I look back, again, it was a learning experience, like you say, Justin, but when I look back at all of the time that has gone by and been, I wouldn't say wasted.
Oh, it is wasted.
Definitely. Well, you probably is.
Except you learned from it, so it wasn't a waste.
Yeah,
you can continue to waste time, and I'm not going to waste time anymore. So.
But I agree with you 110%. There are people out there that don't want the help. They say they do, but sometimes you find out they just want to be around your network to see what can be siphoned off. And I got to tell you straight up, for everybody listening or watching, it happens a lot. What are 3 things that you can do immediately to know? And Bill, you had this conversation with me about a month ago about how the more you become aware, it's like, holy heck, after 15, 30 seconds, you can see something's not going to happen. But to you, Justin, what has been your success in being able to vet and to weed out these people that don't really want the help?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I kind of said this earlier.
You did a little bit. Yeah. But there's sometimes they'll ask you that. It still might be somebody, who knows?
Yeah, so I figured it out pretty quickly. I can just tell from how people talk, and I don't know. You can just hear it in their inflection and their voice, and I don't know. Where I live in the North Shore of Chicago, and there's a lot of entitlement here, and people that are extremely cheap and are takers, way more takers than givers here. And that's a big reason why I've expanded my network on a global level, because I have very few clients in this area, because most people in this area just don't think like me. They just don't. So I don't know. My brain is so in tune with this now that it's just like part of my life now is knowing who the right type of people are. But again, if you ask what you cost, I had this conversation with this guy the other day, and I knew it was going to go really poorly, because he's introduced me to like people that are not good referral sources and not good intros. Yep. And I knew he was kind of hanging around just because he was waiting for a time to try and use me. And that's what the conversation was, is like, can you just do a pro bono story for us? We're trying to get this thing out. I'm like, absolutely not. And this is person that I knew it was going to be the wrong type of thing. So, I mean, again, I don't know if this answers your question, but it's just a sense in my brain that it's like, you know who the right people are and you know who the wrong people are. And after a while, it just becomes second nature to you.
Yeah,
So
it's called, yeah, awareness.
an executive director of a nonprofit shows up, and you know it's the right kind of person, but because it's a not-for-profit, they've got zero funds, but they're doing something that's close to your heart. Do you have to say goodbye?
Well, what I do for that is I'm happy to post something on LinkedIn for you. That's it. That's what I can do. But yes, of course you say goodbye. I mean, that's why would you invest time in someone who's not going to invest in you literally and figuratively? I don't understand that.
I don't either.
See,
And I spent,
But Bill,
as
you
a
and I are like I'm trying to beat this out of you, man.
yeah, yeah. No. It's good. It's good. And I'm playing devil's advocate because there's a lot of listeners out there who are running social benefits or whatever right now and trying to do the right thing with no resources. And they've got
Right.
the right mindset, their heart's in the right place, and it's just, it's just like one more drop in the bucket of trying to fix suicide or trying to fix homelessness or whatever it is. It's just not happening.
Right. So I'm not running a charity. I'm running a business, and that's again, I've had to learn from dealing with things where when you try to help people and they're never going to return the favor or never going to introduce you to someone impactful. And so what's the point of that? That doesn't make any sense to me. So there's got to be a line somewhere. And again, the visionary people I deal with, they just get that. They're not going to tolerate that kind of nonsense. And so you're again being very direct and intentional. Some people might not take it the right way, but honestly, that's not my problem. I mean, my problem is focusing on the people that can afford what I do, that can make the right referrals to people who can afford what I do, and then the right visionaries who are changing the world and have the budgets to do so.
I'm playing devil's advocate on purpose because I love your response. And if you're running one of those social benefit corporations right now, you're listening to this, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. What Justin is doing is going to lead all the rest of us in that direction. Lead from the front as a guy.
I sure hope so. I mean, and I strongly believe that. So
I do
that is
too.
something I do. I strongly like this book or whatever that I did. Like I strongly believe it's going to change people's lives. And I think because of COVID, a lot of companies and a lot of people are going to try to create companies like mine, where it's high price point, low overhead, almost all profit. You only work with the best people. You make as much money as you want to. It's global growth, and it's just built on a network. So that's why I'm really excited about this book and everything, because like I really think there's going to be a lot of folks that they veer toward what I'm doing. Like I think it's just really smart it's a good model. It's very successful. It's very helpful to people. And then you only work with the right people who have the right mindset.
No, that's a beautiful business model, actually, and especially in today's day and age when there is so much inauthenticity out there.
Right.
What I say, what you are focusing through the noise.
Yeah.
And it's
that
really,
noise doesn't mean anything. Like it's nonsense to me. I don't even think about it anymore. Like it's just.
And who does that when we're listening to the radio and you're trying to tune in a good baseball game, and you don't listen to the static. You want to hear the announcer. So you're like the announcer of the authentic human connection. One thing that blows me away, and I just would love to hear your thoughts on this. So somebody you don't know, you've never heard of, they reach out to you on one of these platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's great. And, you want to be well known or liked or whatever. But the next thing you know, they're pitching you within the first contact, and it happens a lot. So Justin, just tune in with me, brother. What is that? Tell me how you think about that. And what advice can you give to?
Are we allowed to swear on this or no?
What advice would you give to that person?
Don't do that. It's just a stupid idea. I mean, again, like that's the wrong. I create real relationships with people before, any business stuff ever comes up. Again, like the conversations I have are rarely about business. So the people that are pitching that kind of stuff, like I'm just like, sorry, I don't have any interest in this. Please don't contact me again. That's what I write. And so, I mean, that's it. I just don't. So when I first started, again, I reached out to 5,000 people to get my first 5 clients. So 1 out of 1,000. So if that is a numbers game that works for you and your business, then go for it. Enjoy annoying 999 people for one client, which I didn't know what else to do because I was starting a business from scratch. I had no idea how to run a business. What I've learned is that, again, when you weed out all that nonsense and you focus on the right people, those type of things don't really happen anymore. It's, hey, I'm friends with so-and-so. He or she recommended that, you're great in this kind of thing. Would love to set up a time to talk. So I probably get 2 or 3 of those type of emails or Facebook messages or LinkedIn messages per your other question about social media from that person who doesn't understand how beneficial social media is. So I get 2 or 3 of those every day, even on the weekend. And so it's endless opportunities from the right people. So you weed out all the wrong people and you focus on the right people, and then this is what happens.
I love that, man. Absolutely love that.
This is wisdom. This is wisdom. I thank you, because we need more of this. And, sadly on the Outliers, we're on the fringe of this. Maybe it's good that it hasn't infected the mainstream yet, because we can build it solid while we still have a
So there's 2 ways of looking at that. One, it is potentially good because we can be the leaders and people can follow. Or 2, it's like, society as a whole, if everybody did think like this, how much more amazing society would be overall, and then how many businesses can be created like mine that are just like awesome and fun and working with the right people. I think, again, the main point is this is not the way I think, and the way it's just not for everybody, and that's fine. I think a lot of the people facing upheaval right now with regular jobs, I do empathize with them because, they didn't expect any of this, but like for an entrepreneur, not much has really changed for me. I mean, it was a quick pivot and just no in-person meetings. If anything, business is gone insane right now in a good way because people want to be in the news now. So, the world needs different types of people to function, the world needs workers, and the world needs leaders, not that, you know what I mean? So I think what we can do is like lead by example and then hope as many people understand and follow as possible.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned leadership because, as coming from the Army way of life, everything that we did revolved around leadership. Mm-hmm. And any organization, any business, any group, anything in life where there's people involved and numbers of people, the leadership that's exercised is going to be the downfall or the success of that organization. Mm-hmm. And so by connecting these leaders, and what I love what you've done, you've prioritized yourself into directing yourself into the visionary leadership world. Mm-hmm. You're finding these massive people these massive numbers, maybe they're not massive numbers, but people who can really make change in the world. So
it's massive. It's a massive amount of people.
Yeah. And you're making change, and that's what's important.
Yeah. So, although my company doesn't have full-time employees, it's, these 40,000 plus visionaries, I look at them as, not employees per se, but as part of my company.
Yeah, part of the team.
It's part of the team. That's what it is. So my company's gigantic.
Yeah. In the Justin Breen world, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah. So I get that question a lot. And now is probably not the right time to ask it because of COVID. But, this book is my company's, again, it's always done well. This book is going to take it to the next level. I mean, I've done so many media interviews for it, and all these amazing organizations want me to speak. So that's just going to lead to endless opportunities. But, a lot of people ask, oh, do you plan on selling your company and all that? I go, heck no, this isn't work for me. This is just fun. So I'm just going to enjoy. There's no like sales plan for this or anything. Like, I'm just going to enjoy this, spend time with my family, do what I want to do, work with the people I want to work with, and just keep this growing. So, I think the more interesting question is like, what's it going to look like 5 days from now? What opportunities are going to come 5 days from now, as opposed to 5 years from now, or even 5 hours from now? Like, it's just endless how many amazing people I talk to. And again, the person I talked to right before this, he's like, yeah, you and I, we should just start a new business together, a new venture where we're just connecting people. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. And it actually could be very profitable for the right people. So I'm like, this is just a conversation I had today. And so there's endless abundant opportunity when you have that mindset and you meet with the right people.
Couldn't agree with you more. I've been networking for 35 years, so I get it, and we've had some amazing success too. Being 60 years old, a lot of these new technologies are different, and try to navigate them is a learning experience. But yeah, I mean, I think we live in a great age. I think that there's opportunities everywhere we look, and you're making them happen. So it's impressive.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely. And I mean that.
We're getting kind of close to the end of our time. And Justin, I know you've got an appointment coming up. Any final words of wisdom? That this has been like golden all the way through, but what haven't you said that you want to?
So my company is BrEpic.
So, hey, man.
And you can go to my website, BrEpic LLC.com. That's BrEpic LLC.com. But again, this is what I'm talking about. Very rarely do I even bring that up anymore because it's not about that. It's about this other stuff. And that's why, as a byproduct, that my business is so successful. So this interview is a perfect representation of what I mean. Didn't even mention the company until the end of the interview.
Exactly. It'll be in the show notes. We'll have all
I know, but it's just funny.
Isn't it though? And that's exactly why we're here. So thank you, brother. I mean, Justin, truly, it's been an honor to have some of your time. Share it with the group, the audience.
Get the book.
Get the book. What's the launch date? It's going. I know there's a
May
party.
19th.
May 19th.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm glad you made it here with us. I wish you continued success and look forward to down the road. Maybe we'll see each other on a pathway somewhere. But I know where to go to if I need some answers. And you're the guy, Justin Breen.
Thanks. It's only the beginning, guys. Greatness
it's only the beginning. Yeah. Stand by for success and greatness. Thank you for joining us on this episode of AHO Radio. Information we mentioned is probably in the show notes, but if we missed anything, please let us know and we'll get it added for you. Subscribe to the AHO Radio channel on YouTube to stay connected, and as always, we wish you health, success, and significance. AHO!